Hello, it's Anthony from No Frills NetSuite Training, and in today's free training we're going to focus on classifications. So grab a cup of coffee and let's get going. Now there are two main reasons I'd suggest using the classifications, such as department and class. The first is that there's no need for subledgers, and secondly, there is a lot of very powerful functionality built around these classifications. So let's start with the first one. In this demo dataset, you can see there are a number of subledgers under revenue. So revenue for software sales, maintenance, professional services, and so on and so forth. So your software licenses revenue would need to be channeled through to account number 4002 and your maintenance revenue to account 4003. etc., etc., which can be a little difficult to manage. So instead, what we do is we set up the classifications under Setup, Company, and Departments, and of course classes, and potentially locations. And then what we do is we associate each transaction with a particular department, class, or location. Please note the hierarchy on these departments, because of course the hierarchy can be important when you'd like to report on your results for a department, because it allows you to do totals and subtotals at each of the various nodes within that hierarchy. So what we would do is we'd set up the departments and we'd set up our classes, and then we'd be able to assign them to any transaction that we have. So you get the same outcome as if you had separate subledgers for each department or class. In other words, that we can determine that the revenue from this transaction would be going to the hardware class without having to have a separate revenue account for hardware. Now this brings us to our next main advantage of these classifications of department and class, and that is the powerful functionality that's built around them, especially in reporting. So if I wanted to drill down to a specific class or department in my reporting, I'd simply run the report, and then I change the column value to class, which breaks it down for me automatically. So here is my list of classes, which appear basically alphabetically. On the other hand, if I wanted to see it in terms of the hierarchy, I'll simply choose class hierarchy, and it will appear under the hierarchy I built when I set up the class originally. And of course the same is true for department. Now the functionality is even more powerful when we look at financial reports. So let's run an income statement. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this button over here, More. And you'll see that I can go in and choose a combination of department, class, or location, or customer, or items to filter the data on that income statement. So if we wanted to do a multiple selection of class and department, you can see how easy it is to do over here. So that's obviously very powerful. Now you can even apply this pivoting of data based on department and class to the dashboard. So we can go back to our dashboard and we can restrict our view of all data on the dashboard by going to the Set Preferences screen. restrict view, and I can choose a particular department or class or location. And as soon as I save that, it will restrict my view to that data and will only show me data relating to that specific class. In fact, by doing so, I've restricted my access to all data, not just that on the dashboard, but all data to only data relating to that specific class. Now, that restriction applies for this session only. When I log out and log back in, I'll see everything I need to see. However, in this session, I'll be only looking at the hardware class. So you'll see that also I can use the hierarchy by choosing direct sales and including subclasses, as well as including unassigned, so that I see all data that's unassigned and, of course, all data of that class and subclass. Or I can simply go back to all my data by choosing absolutely nothing, click Save, and I'm back where I started. So that's pretty strong functionality. Now, another important aspect of classifications is you can restrict data based on class, department, or location. So for instance, if I set up a new role, let's assume that we needed this consultant in the US West role to only see data relating to a particular class. Well, as you can see, there is a class restriction field. So I can restrict this person to only data in that specific class or department, as the case may be. So this would apply to employees, to transactions, and as you can see, it can also apply to items. So those are a few important applications of our classifications of department, class, and location. And as you can see, it's very powerful. I'd certainly urge you to use it. Thanks for watching our training today. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for constant updates.